Hello, my dear students. Today we will explain the cancelled part from prep 3, the second term curriculum, the main principles of hereditary traits. First of all, we have to know what are the kinds of traits or what are the types of properties inside our bodies. We have two kinds of traits, hereditary traits and acquired traits. And what is the difference between them? Hereditary traits are the traits or the characters that are transmitted from one generation to another generation or from your parents to the offspring, like the hair color, the skin color, the number of fingers, and the blood groups AB, and O, and so on. And what are the acquired traits? These traits are not inherited from the parents to their offsprings or not gained as a gift. These skills are not transmitted by God. It gained by skills, by practice, like playing football, like handwriting, like drawing, and so on. So these traits are not transmitted from one generation to another. What controls these traits? These traits are controlled by something called genes found inside the structure of our cells. The branch of science that deals with these traits is called genetics. So what is genetics? Genetics is the science that researches the transmission of hereditary traits or the characters from one generation to another generation. How? By studying the similarities and differences between the parents and the offsprings. Gregor Mendel was a scientist or was a monk who studied the similarities and differences between the parents and offspring of a pea plant, and researches from these researches he put the principles or the laws of the genetics or the inherited characters. What was his experiment? His experiment was by making a pollination or making a crossing between two different characters in the pea plant and record the result to find the relation or find the transmission of genes from the parents to the offspring of the pea plant. Why did he choose especially the pea plant? For several reasons. From these reasons, does the pea plant grow fast and easily? So he can study the characters easily and faster. The life cycle of the pea plant is short, can grow fast, and can reproduce fast. The flowers of the pea plant are hermaphrodite, and hermaphrodite means it carry both sexes on the same flower, carry the male reproductive organ, which is called anther, and carry the female reproductive organ, which is called, or the first part of this organ is called the stigma. The male reproductive organ is the stamen, the first part of it is called anther, and the female reproductive part is called carpel, and the first part is called stigma. As we studied before in prep 2, that the anther, when it matured, all the pollen grain will transfer from the male reproductive organ or from the anther to the stigma of the female, making the seed. So the hermaphrodite flower, which contains both sexes, can make self-pollination, can transfer the pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of the same flower, and can make also the cross-pollination, can transfer the pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of another flower, but it must be with the same kind. So the flowers can be self-pollinated here in the pea plant, and it's characterized for the pea plant. Letter D, from the characters of the pea plant, that they reproduce a large crop, a large number of crop on any time. Peas have different types of different traits called allelomorphic traits. This new expression means the pea plant has several traits different from each other, like the tallness. We have tall stem pea plant and we have short stem pea plant. We have different colors. We have the fruit in a green color and another fruit with a yellow color. So these traits are different from each other, called allelomorphic traits. We have variety of traits inside the pea plant, so the studying of genetics in the pea plant became easier due to these allelomorphic traits. Let's start the Mendel's experiment with the pea plant. What did he do to know the characters of the pea plant or to study the transmission of genetic traits inside the pea plant? He cut the stamen of one flower to allow it to make cross-pollination with another flower. To prevent making the self-pollination, he cut the stamen of one of them and make it pollinated with another one. Okay, after that he found that all the first generation related to one color of them. If we consider that the parents that Mendel starts with were the green seed and the yellow seed. After cross-pollination between the green and yellow seeds, he found that the first generation were all of them with the yellow color. This means that the yellow color is dominates over the green color. The presence of yellow color will prevent the green color to express itself in the first generation. After that, he took two of the yellow color seed plant and to make a cross-pollination again in the second generation. He found that the result were as follow: 75% to the dominant character, which is the yellow character here, and 25% to the green color. Here is the diagram that expresses this relation. If we have a yellow seed and a green seed, this yellow seed is pure. He makes sure that this yellow is pure. He make a self-pollination to the yellow color seed several times, and he found that each time it will produce a yellow color, so it's a pure. And made this experiment also for the green seeds. After ensuring that both of them are pure, he made a cross-pollination between them and found that all the first generation were a yellow seed color. He took randomly two of them and make a cross-pollination between them. He found that the second generation were 3 yellow colored seed to 1 green seed. This means that the yellow color is dominant character. What's meant by dominant character? This means that it dominates over the green color. The presence of yellow color or genes that express the yellow color in the seeds will cancel the effect of the green color in the first generation, but will appear shortly in the second generation. This law, called the first Mendel's law or the law of complete dominance, means that there is one gene dominates over the other. This table you have to know the dominant character in the plant or the pea plant especially, and the recessive character in the pea plant. According to the seed shape, the spherical shape of the pea plant seed dominates over the wrinkled seed, and the color of the seed, yellow, dominates over the green. The purple flower color or the red flower color dominates over the white. The inflated dominates over the constructed, and the bud color or the fruit color, green, dominates over the yellow. Flower position, the axial or lateral that comes from the side, dominates over the terminal which comes at the end. And the stem height, the tall stem, dominates over the dwarf or the short stem. What's meant by dominant character? This means that if we made a cross-pollination between the pea plant which carry the spherical seed with one carry the wrinkled seed, the spherical seed will appear in the first generation by 100%, and if we made a cross-pollination between the seeds that resulted from the first generation, we will find that the second generation will be 3 to 1 or 75% spherical to 25 wrinkled. Here we have two new expressions, hybrid individual and pure individual. We can express the colors by letters. If we want to talk about a dominant character, you have to put it or to express it by a capital letters. And if we talk about a recessive character that can't express itself in the first generation, you have to give it a small letters. So here if we have T capital, T small, this means that this character is dominant. Why? Because we have T capital here. but we have T small also, so this character is not pure. If it's pure, we will find that these two letters are two capital letters or two small letters, like this. If we have T small, this is a pure character. If we have T capital, it's a pure character also. But what is the difference between the capital letters and small letters? The capital letters express the dominant character, and the small letters express the recessive character. So if we have both on the same individual, so it's a hybrid individual, it's not pure. So the hybrid have a characters or the pair of genes. One of them is dominant and takes the first capital letter, and the other is recessive and takes the small letters. Why did we express each character by two letters? Because each letter of them express a gene inherited from one of your parents. For example, if the T capital related to your mother or your father, so the second letter related to the gene that you carried from the other parent. And what is the difference between the genotype and phenotype? The phenotype is the appearance or the morphological shape or the color of the seed or any character. For example, if we are talking about the red flower, so we are talking about the color, so it's a phenotype. And the genetic structure or the letters that express the genes inside are called the genotype of this living organism. Here the example to express an experiment that Mendel did. If we are talking about two traits, one of them talking about the yellow color, so we will give it the letter C for the yellow color. C capital means this yellow color is dominates over the other color. And the second part, these two letters are capital means it's dominant, and the two letters are similar, so it means it's a pure. Here the same letters we will give it for the green color seed, but because of its recessive character, we will give it a small letters, not a capital. So C small express a green color, but it's a pure also because they are similar letters. We have to write letter P here because we express the parents that we will start the crossing with. After that, we will take the gametes. What's meant by gametes means after being mature, the answer will produce the pollen grain, which contains the half number of chromosomes, and the female also will produce the ovum, which has the smaller number of chromosomes or half the number of chromosomes of the original cell. So C capital, we have to divide it into C capital and C capital individually, or separate the C capital from the other C capital. And because of all of them will be C capital, we will take one of them only. C small also considered that we will take C small only because all the ovum will produce genes contain C small. After that, the pollen grain will transfer to the ovum to make a fertilization. So after collecting them, or after fusion between the sperm, the sperm for the human and the animal. Here we are talking about the plant. So after fertilization between the pollen grain and the ovum, the plant will produce. We find that the plant will produce a yellow hybrid seed. C capital C small. C capital C small. Let's start the second generation. If we make a crossing between randomly two yellow hybrid seeds, what will result in? C capital C small with C capital C small. This is the second parents. Take a gamete, so separate the two genes from each other. So C capital will be on one gamete and C small will be on another gamete. Also for the female, C capital in one gamete or one ovum and C small in another ovum. Then make the possibilities for the fertilization. This pollen grain or genes inside this pollen grain may make a fertilization to this genes in the ovum of the plant. So the result will be C capital C capital. Or may this C capital make a fertilization to this C small. or may C small to C capital or C small to C small. So we have four possibilities or four offsprings that resulted from the second generation. One of them is yellow, C capital, C capital. The second is also yellow. A third is also yellow. This is yellow. It's a mistake here. This is also yellow, C capital, C small, because we started with the dominant character, C capital, so it's yellow. And C small here is the green seed. So the percentage or the ratio will be 3 dominant to 1 recessive, 3 yellow to 1 green, or 75% yellow to 25 green. Here's another example. If we have a purple or red flower with a white flower, the purple flower is the dominant, so it will take the two capital letters, and the white will take the same letter but the small of it. After that, we will take the gametes. It's enough to take one letter of them because all the pollen grains will be with the same letter, P capital and here P small. Make a fertilization between them. So the first generation will be P capital, P small means it will be purple, but the phenotype is purple, but the genotype is hybrid, not a pure. P capital, P small is hybrid. Take two of them and make a cross-pollination between them to make the second generation. We will find that B capital B small with a B capital B small. After taking a gametes, B capital will be on one gamete, B small will be on another gamete. The same for the female. Make a cross-pollination between them. So P capital may take the P capital on another side, making a P capital B capital. It's a purple flower, but pure. And the B capital may take the B small, and the B capital may take the B small, and the B small may take the B small. So the four possibilities, 3 purple to 1 white, or 75% purple to 25 white. Till that, we have finished the first law of Mendel, and there is another law of Mendel, the second law we will explain on the next lecture, inshallah. Thank you.